Welcome to another episode of Treasure Corals and happy holidays. So in today's video we are gonna talk about aquarium stand building. So you'll actually get to see me build a stand from start all the way to finish, including the paint job. I'm also going to talk about this new product from PolypLab. You'll also get to see me prepare two-part dosing solution using a magnetic stirrer. And finally, I'm going to provide an update about the Biomaster OASE filter that I've been having lots of troubles with. So let's dive right into it. Maintaining stable levels of calcium and alkalinity in a reef aquarium are super important. And I dose a two-part solution for both calcium and alkalinity, and then I also supplement with magnesium. So I measure my alkalinity at least 2 times a week. I don't have an automated system yet to be doing that. And for calcium, I almost never measure it because it's I dose usually 2 parts of this equal amount. Now magnesium, I do measure at least once a month, maybe a little bit more frequently. So in today's video, in this section, I want to show you what I do for mixing, because I used to just put things in a bucket and add some sort of a powder, let's say it's magnesium, stir it for a while, but I never liked the way it was dissolving. Usually I prefer to just put something in there and forget for 10 minutes, and then I want to come back to a fully dissolved solution. So one thing that I've been working on, this is just version 1.0 of this unit, is something where I can do just that. So in this section I'm going to explain what I have and also talk about what I plan to do in the next iteration. So let's get started first with the actual container. I do have this container from Uline, and it is it has this very handy markers on it, so I know whether it's half a gallon, 1 gallon, and so on and so forth, up to 5 gallons. And if I need to see exactly how much there is, I can always just turn on the light and shine from the side, and then I will know exactly how much I have. So it's pretty convenient from that perspective. I try to also have some sort of a scale nearby so I can actually weigh the solution. In this particular case, there's about 3 kilograms left of this magnesium by NICE. This is something that I've been trying to dose in my reef aquarium for the past couple of months, and I really like the results so far. So another thing that I've modified this particular bucket is I took a Uline half-inch seal. It's very easy. You make a hole with a hole saw, put this uni-seal in there, then there's a little contraption, and so I can actually pour a liquid out of this bucket without tipping it, without dropping any droplets all around. So it's really, really convenient. And then finally, let's talk about the actual stirring equipment. So I have this NZ Sir, I think it's about $35 Canadian on Amazon unit. It's, you know, fairly cheaply made, but it serves the purpose. So it's a magnetic stirrer, and then you can just take regular 2x4s, and if you put them on both sides of the stirrer, then you have the platform which is almost flush with the bucket. So there is already a little magnetic pill that is inside of this little 5-gallon bucket. So this is what the pill looks like. And then we just place the bucket right on top of it. Then I'm going to drop this pill in the center. And if I plug this in, you can hear the sound. So now it's actually stirring. So I can take my magnesium and I can be adding it Unfortunately, I did use this before, and I think it got a little bit wet, so it's actually no longer in powder form. It's like little clumps, but it's not too bad. And all I have to do now is just get the whole solution in there without disrupting that little stir, because if I do disrupt the stir, then I'm gonna have to readjust it. That's one of the reasons why I'm wearing gloves here. But in the perfect world, this would be a brand new container. I'd open it up, I'll measure how much water I have that I would need. So basically I can use just RO water and add enough water until I get the right amount of gallons. And then after that, turn on the stirrer and start pouring this powder, and then set and forget. So as you can see, it's a pretty quick process. It's fairly painless. Well, nothing is painless in this hobby, so I'm actually going to have to use this little sophisticated tool to break up clumps of this magnesium. It's not a big deal either. So do this, add a little bit more, and even those clumps, they've already, most of them have dissolved in here. So I'll do a quick close-up in a second so you can actually see. But even with the clamps, this is pretty easy. And in the end, I'm gonna have about 2 gallons of saturated magnesium solution that will serve me for maybe a few months, maybe a little bit less, but it's going to be super convenient, because then I can just open up this valve and add the whole solution into the tank, into the dosing container. So there we go. I think now the whole container is empty, so which is cool. Oh, and I think that's exactly what happened here. So actually, it's not a bad thing that it happened right now, because you can actually know what I'm doing then. So you heard that the sound just turned off. That is because with those magnetic stirrers, they can be quite finicky, and unfortunately, that means that you have to readjust it. So right now there's not a lot of water volume, so I think I can actually reach it with my hand with the glove on, and then I'm just gonna fish for that little pill. And where is it? You'd think it should be somewhere nearby, so I'm actually gonna turn off the thing. Okay, so I've found the pill, and I'm gonna position it right on the center. Usually if the unit is turned off, then it's pretty easy, like it actually finds the center, and then I'm gonna turn it on, and I'm just gonna let it be. So one of the reasons I think this got dislocated, it was because of those clamps. So if you do a clamps, or if you add too much of the solution or powder right away, then you may bump the pill, and then you're gonna have to go through this hassle. Otherwise, it's actually not a problem at all. And right now the water is a little bit murky, but I'm gonna give it probably another 5 minutes, and it's gonna clear up completely. This is what my lagoon tank is looking like in the morning. So when there is no light on my XR15 blues. And I really like this look. I like the introduction of these sand sifting goby, because you can see that there's really no more algae growing right on the sand. So I think that, plus the maturity of the tank, has helped to maintain this look. However, I wanted to do a quick update on the status of my Biomaster Thermo OASE filter and the bubbles that it produces. So the tank has been undisturbed, or the filter has been disturbed since yesterday. So yesterday I've purged all the air bubbles. And let's take a look at what's going on with the tank, with the filter today. So going in, going under, opening up. This is the filter. I think this is the 600 model. So I again went for something fairly high end. This was supposed to be the best in the market. So I'm gonna just tilt the filter and you can hear the sound already. And then look at what's coming out from the top. So, and even then this hasn't purged fully. So I'm tilting a little bit more. And sorry for the lack of focus, but this is the micro bubbles. And this is with me purging the air out of the filter less than probably 12 hours ago. So this just adds up. And I wanted to quickly give you the full update of what happened. So as you can see, there's nothing else on the tank other than this power head, which is running at probably 20%. You see it's not sucking any air. But this particular filter has exhibited this issue from day one. So I've always had it. I contacted OASE. First they told me to add silicone grease to all of the connectors, which I did. That may have helped a little bit, but not much. Then they did send me this replacement for the pre-filter. I replaced it. That didn't help. Then they sent this filter head, which I also did replace. That didn't help at all. I think it just made it actually worse because probably there was less silicone grease on it. And then the last thing that they did was they sent me these clamps, which probably I could have just picked up at the local store. I thought they had some special OASE clamps, but I've applied the clamps and you can see it's still same issue as before. I did try running it where the intake and outtake were at two different corners. I did try turning off the power head. Nothing helps. So you see, I'm gonna tilt it once again. And look at this. This is just ridiculous. It's very, very bad. So that's a big problem. I think at this point we don't really know what to do. I must say that for a $600 filter, this is not acceptable. I've never had an issue like this ever with any of my other filters. The reason I went with this one was the pre-filter plus the thermo heater built in, which I think are huge improvements over some of the other filters I've used. But unfortunately, in my case, that just makes it completely unusable. I'm not a big believer in microbubbles, and just for this thing to collect it, it's a problem. I have no idea where the air is coming from. There's nothing here that is wet, so everything here is dry. I haven't seen any salt creep in a few months that I've been running this, but it just has never gotten any better. So I know the only other thing to try would be to replace this inlet. One of the viewers have suggested that, and apparently that maybe could be the issue, just not enough flow sucking or something. So I'll try to maybe do this, but at this point I'm really disappointed with the filter performance, and it's inadequate, and I'm surprised some may think that it's normal operation. It should not be. So let's just enjoy the tank for all its glory right now. I love this daylight look. You can see the boxing shrimp right here. Once the camera will focus on it. This is my anemone island. I love the anemones when there's no blue light. This is their natural color. There is this wonderful feather duster right here. Just gorgeous. Can you beat this look? I don't think so. This is one of my favorite things to look at. A blood shrimp. My Euphilia garden, which hasn't opened up yet fully, and the GSP hasn't opened up either. So, but look at the sand. This is pretty good in my books. So anyways, this is what the tank looks like right now, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the filter, but this is not acceptable. I have received this product from PolypLab, and this is their new Genesis Rock Booster. It is, let's open up the package. First of all, it's an amazing package. I haven't seen, well, I've seen a few in the industry that are similar, but this is definitely next level. Everything is nicely laid out. There is a pamphlet of some sort that explains that this is actually 2 nanoceramic blocks and 1 PolypLab Genesis bacteria. Now, I have had some good results with this bacteria before. I think you just need a fairly small amount here. It's very highly concentrated. So this PolypLab Genesis. And I can't wait to replenish them on both of my systems. And what really caught my eye is this new product. This is their ceramic block. So I'm gonna actually try to yank it out. And I don't want to break the box, but here we go. So it's a lot smaller than what I thought when I just saw it on the internet. So the blocks are probably, I'd say 4 by 4 inches or a little bit bigger. But this is a ceramic block that is super porous. There's lots of space for bacteria to be within the block, so to inhabit the block. And I have 2 of those, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna just put everything in this tank here or I'll use one in both. Now, I'm really excited about this because I'm a big believer in bacteria and bacteria population. It's one of the reasons, you know, I think I've had some issues with one of my systems with the dinos. It was because I didn't have enough bacteria. So I'm a big believer in bacteria in a reef aquarium. What matters is not only the quantity, so how much media you have, whether it's rock or sand or corals, but it's also the quality, because there's many different strains, and some strains are beneficial, some are less so. There are now many companies in the world that focus on this. There's some companies in North America that would actually test the biome for you, for the reef aquarium. I haven't had any experience with that yet, and I think it's pretty early in this hobby. But we all know that when 2 different reefers start their aquariums, you may get completely different results, or even though they seem to have the same equipment and seem to follow a very similar regimen. I think one of the reasons is if you start with a limited number of strains, or just not enough bacteria or not enough surface, your bacteria will develop completely different than somebody else. Now, I have had experience with other ceramic blocks before, but I've never tried anything like this. It's really small, it's really dense, and it's super heavy. So this is probably the heaviest media I have ever experienced. And just by looking at it, it seems super porous. So I have 2 blocks, and what I'm thinking of is this aquarium is about 3 years old. I know it very well. I know my husbandry, and if you're interested, you can always go to Aquatic Log website and search for Treasure Reef, and you'll actually get to see all of my parameters from the beginning of having the reef aquarium. So I might put either both of them into this aquarium and just kind of see what will change. Now, nitrates is not my problem. If anything, I've been trying to dose nitrates. I have enough coral here that basically suck it all out. But I do think that having more media for different bacteria to be on will help with diversity and, like I said, both quality and quantity. So this is going to go into this aquarium probably later tonight, and I'll give it about a month before I'm going to provide some sort of an update on this particular subject. Now, if you have had any experience with this particular rock, please let me know. Maybe there's a few tips. I'm planning to put it right around where the baffles are, because at the end this is where I think there's the most amount of flow, because you want to have that flow. But we will see. Maybe there's some better ways of doing it. I know some people place it on certain legs, and then you can put a rock on top, so this is floating and the water is flowing laterally. Or maybe there are some other tips and tricks. I'm also excited about this bacteria, just because, again, I try to use sometimes bacteria from different companies. This particular company I've had only positive results with. Like when I was starting probably the last 3 or 4 aquariums where I used Genesis, I've definitely haven't had any issues, which usually is a good thing. Sometimes I would have the dinos, but that was mostly due to probably too much amino acids used in aquarium. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that video session and you've learned something new. If you have certain topics you want me to focus on in one of the upcoming weekly Sunday videos, please write in the comments below. Obviously, please like and subscribe the video as it helps with the whole channel. And finally, I want to wish everyone a safe 2022. 2021 has been very challenging for everyone, and especially I think for Canadians. So certainly feel the pain, and I'm really hopeful about 2022. So stay safe and see you next week.